The alien ships arrived without warning. They appeared above Earth in silent waves, giant vessels made of black metal, glowing faintly with blue lights. They did not speak at first. They did not fire. They simply hovered, blocking the stars. Watching, people around the world froze. News channels showed the same sky, the same cold ships. In cities, crowds gathered in streets. Children cried. Soldiers were told to stand by, and governments waited, hoping to understand what was happening. Some prayed the aliens came in peace. Others prepared for the worst. Then the message came. It was not a voice, but a signal. It interrupted every screen, every radio, every device. The translation followed quickly, almost like they already knew how to speak to us. The words were clear. You are now property of the core dominion. Resistance is not allowed. Surrender will be painless. Your planet is now classified as Sector Zeta 113. Labor assignment begins in 72 hours. Across Earth, silence fell. No negotiations, no requests, no explanation. Only a command. A declaration that Earth belonged to someone else now, the alien. Message continued, listing new rules. All governments would be dissolved. Technology would be seized. All humans over age 10 would be sent to mining or farming colonies. Younger children would be trained as workers. Earth's oceans and atmosphere would be processed for galactic trade. The planet, they said, had useful resources and an acceptable labor species. That's what they called humans. Acceptable. The core dominion had done this before. Dozens of times. They had crushed whole worlds, taken slaves, and left behind ash. Their ships were faster, stronger, smarter than anything humans had. No one had ever fought back and won. Some tried. They were erased, but Earth did not panic. At first, this confused the core commanders. The humans didn't launch attacks. They didn't send diplomats. They didn't even scream. Instead, the cities grew quiet. Lights went out. Signals stopped. Earth looked like it had shut down. So, core moved to the next phase. Their ships dropped pods small, fast, full of armored troops. These soldiers had invaded 100 worlds. They expected fear, chaos, surrender. But something went wrong. First squad landed in a forest near what they called Zone 4. The trees were silent. No humans were in sight. The soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. Their scanners showed movement, but nothing clear. That's 10 steps in their communication. Cut out. 3 minutes later, their biosigns vanished. A second squad was sent in, heavily armed. Monitors watched as they moved through the same trees, then dash one scream. One flash of red dot and silence. No bodies were found. No ships returned. This was not normal. The core never lost contact, never lost troops like this. But instead of slowing down, they grew angry, arrogant. They sent more troops. Whole waves. In 5 hours, over 3,000 core soldiers were dropped across Earth. Only 12 sent back signals. The rest were never heard from again. Now, the alien commanders grew nervous. Something was wrong. Earth was not reacting like any other world. There were no panic signals, no cries for help, no signs of surrender. But their own people were vanishing. Equipment was failing. Ships above Earth began picking up strange signals encrypted, fast and alien to them. They didn't know the truth yet. For years, Earth had watched the stars. Long before the core came, secret satellites had picked up unknown movements, strange patterns. Humanity had guessed something was out there, quietly, without the knowledge of most of its own people. The leaders of Earth had prepared, not just with weapons, but with strategies. Underground cities, hidden war factories, hacked alien signals stolen from deep space. Earth had been listening, learning, and waiting. The core thought they were invading a weak, disorganized planet. They didn't know they had walked into a trap. Inside, a hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains, a woman named Commander Alina Voss watched the screens. Her face was calm, her eyes sharp. Around her, a team of officers gave updates. All units are in position. Nanite fields, online. Cloaking is stable. We've neutralized 87% of the drop squads. Voss nodded. begin counterstrike. Far above in orbit, the core ships began experiencing failures. Engines shut down, life support glitched, doors sealed unexpectedly. AI course crashed. On every deck, panic spread, and then Earth struck back. It started with lasers. Thin beams fired from hidden ground stations. They pierced the ships like needles. Next came missiles fast, smart, and unpredictable. Each one carried human-designed warheads using tech stolen from the stars, but the worst came from inside, unknown to the core. Some of their own ships had been hacked weeks ago. When the humans activated the virus, the ships turned on each other. Guns fired, shields dropped, docks exploded. A core battlecruiser began spinning uncontrollably before crashing into another. From Earth's shadow, human ships launched sleek, sharp, black as night. These were not public. They were part of Project Revenant, a secret fleet built in underground hangars. Using stolen alien drives and Earth's brutal creativity, they moved like ghosts and hit like thunder. The core fleet tried to escape, but the humans had sealed the skies. Jamming fields, gravity nets, even space itself seemed against the invaders. Within 1 hour, the entire core fleet above Earth was destroyed. The sky cleared, but Earth was not done. Captured alien ships were pulled from the wreckage. Engineers began to reverse engineer everything. New designs were drawn. Factories began building faster than ever. Soldiers trained for space combat. And Earth sent out a signal not of peace, but of warning to the stars. The message said, "We are not yours to claim." In the core Dominion's capital, shock turned to rage. They demanded a full invasion. All forces. Total war. But something strange happened. Their other fleets sent to watch other systems started going dark. One by one, ships vanished from other sectors. Not destroyed, taken. Their last messages were confused, frightened, incomplete. Some spoke of seeing human ships, others saw nothing, just silence before blackout. The galaxy began to whisper. The core had always been the hunters. Now they were being hunted, and Earth was rising. In distant systems, small races who once feared the core now sent secret messages to Earth. Offers of alliance, of information, of help. The humans accepted none. They sent only one sentence. You watched us fall. Now watch us rise. On a quiet night in a ruined core command ship floating above Earth, a single alien survivor gasped for breath. His armor was cracked, his weapon gone. He crawled through a broken corridor, trying to reach the escape pod as he pulled himself forward. A shadow moved. He looked up. A human in black armor stood, there silent, still. The helmet's visor glowed red. The alien begged. Why are you doing this? You were just primitives. The human answered in a low voice. We were, then raised his weapon, and the last lights in the alien ship went dark. Humanity had been tested, but the chains they tried to place on Earth, they never closed. And now, the galaxy would learn one truth: Earth does not kneel. The High Vanguard had never lost a battle. For over 10,000 years, their fleets crushed rebellions, silenced uprisings, and destroyed entire planets without a single defeat. They were the core Dominion's most trusted enforcers, cold, efficient, unbeatable. When the news came that Earth had resisted, that Earth had destroyed an invasion fleet, the Dominion did not believe it at first, but once they saw the wreckage, once they confirmed their soldiers were gone, they sent the High Vanguard. The command ship Scarneth led the fleet. It was 3 kilometers long, with armor thicker than any human city wall. It held 50,000 troops, each trained to a race. Resistance with no emotion. Round it flew dozens of escort ships, bombers, destroyers. Hunters, they did not come to talk. They came to burn. But Earth was waiting. The moment the Vanguard fleet entered orbit, they saw something strange. Earth looked peaceful. No ships moved, no signals, no defense. The entire planet was quiet, like it had given up. Some corps officers smiled, so they've learned their place. Commander Relvas, the leader of the vanguard, stared harder. At the screens, "This is wrong," he muttered. "Too quiet." He ordered full scans. Thermal, magnetic, biological. What they found made no sense. Cities were empty, power levels low, life signs scattered. It looked like Earth had disappeared before they could react. The first attack came. A beam of light, invisible to the eye, struck the command ship's lower deck. There was no explosion, just silence. And then the section simply vanished, not destroyed, erased. A second beam followed, hitting one of the cruisers. This time it tore the ship in half. Debris floated in space as crew members screamed through. Open comes. Then the third beam hit, then the fourth. The humans had never shown weapons like this before. The Corps didn't understand. How had Earth developed such power in weeks? They hadn't. Earth had been building for years. In secret, the beams came from ground-based cannons hidden under oceans, disguised as tectonic vents. Each one was powered by stolen alien cores, enhanced by human design. They could not be tracked, could not be seen, and hit with pinpoint accuracy within 10 minutes. 7 core ships were gone. The rest tried to scatter, spreading across Earth's orbit to make targeting harder. That's when the sky changed. Above the planet, hundreds of human ships appeared not through normal space, but through short-range warp tunnels. Each one had no official name, no ID codes. They were black, sleek, and silent. Their engines glowed red, not blue. They were not part of Earth's public military. They were the Revenants. A secret strike fleet built by Earth's deep command. No politicians knew. No civilians were told. These ships were made to kill, and they did. The core fleet opened fire, filling space with plasma rounds, ion bursts, and disruptor waves. It looked like a storm of light. But the Revenants moved like shadows, dodging, weaving, striking. They fired weapons no one had seen before. Smart missiles that bent around shields. EMP webs that turned core ships into dead metal. Hacking pods that landed on enemy hulls and injected viruses directly into the ship's systems. One core battleship spun in place, turned its own guns inward, and blew itself apart. Commander Relda stared in horror. His command deck was filled with smoke and screams. "What? What are these creatures?" he shouted. A young officer answered, eyes wide. "They're not creatures, sir. They're humans." The Revenants didn't just destroy ships. They boarded them. Dozens of black armored soldiers punched through holes and fought room to room. They didn't take prisoners, and they didn't speak. The Corps had no time to react. Each room they lost, ship that went dark, brought them closer to defeat. Arielthas gave the order, retreat, but Earth didn't allow it. Behind the Corps fleet, more human ships arrived. Larger ones, heavier, like floating fortresses, and one of them transmitted a single message across all channels. "Your history ends here." The humans jammed every exit vector. Gravity fields were distorted. Escape routes twisted into loops. The Corps couldn't run, couldn't hide. They were trapped. Within 45 minutes, the battle was over. The High Vanguard, the unstoppable force feared across the stars, was gone. Not one ship survived across the galaxy. The news spread faster than any signal before. Entire races stopped what they were doing. The High Vanguard was a symbol of power, terror, and control. And now it had been erased by a world once called primitive. Fear spread. The Trade Corps called an emergency. Meeting the Tsarn Republic sealed their borders, and on planets under Corps control, quiet rebellions began. Slaves whispered to each other. Earth did it. They killed the High Vanguard. Maybe there's hope. Back on Earth, in the deepest level of Command Site Vega, Commander Elena Voss stood in front of a giant screen. The feed showed the remains of the battle-burned ships, floating bodies, shattered hulls. Beside her stood Colonel Rafik Khan, head of Project Revenant. "That was the easy part," he said quietly. Voss nodded. "Now they know we can win." But they don't know what else we've built. No, she agreed, and they won't until it's too late. Underneath the surface of the moon, human engineers were building faster than ever. Factories, powered by zero-point reactors. Weapons crafted with alien alloys, shipyards creating new types of warships, some that didn't even look like ships anymore. Earth wasn't stopping. They were just getting started. But they were not fighting for glory. They were fighting for survival. In the ashes of the core fleet, a small black drone drifted quietly inside. It carried data battle footage, weapon scans, recordings of core officers begging for mercy. It was programmed to travel across the galaxy, dropping copies on every major world it passed. No encryption, no password, just proof. Proof that Earth had risen. Proof that the High Vanguard had burned. And at the end of every clip, the same message appeared in every known language. We are not slaves. We're not property. We are not afraid. We are human. And then the screen turned black. The core prisoner didn't understand how it happened. One moment, he was standing on the command deck of the Vaxxer-class cruiser, watching Earth from orbit. The next, blackness. No alarms, no warning, just darkness. Then pain and silence. When he woke up, he was in a cold metal room, chained to a wall. The lights flickered. The air smelled of iron and smoke. And in front of him stood a human in dark armor, face hidden behind a black helmet with a single glowing red line where the eyes should be. The core prisoner tried to speak, but his translator stuttered. The human said nothing, just stared. Then turned and walked away. All across Earth, underground prisons had been activated, facilities never shown to the public, built deep into mountains, deserts, and ocean floors. They were not for humans. They were made for invaders. For any species that tried to take Earth by force now. These prisons were full. Thousands of captured core soldiers sat in silence, shocked, confused, and angry. Their species had never known defeat. Now they were trapped in a place they couldn't understand. There were no torture chambers, no violence, no cruelty. But there was something worse. Silence. The prisoners were kept alone. No sound, no clocks, no windows. The humans didn't speak to them. They just watched time pass differently inside those cells. And then the questions began. Each day. One core was taken from his cell and brought into a black room with one chair, one table, and one human. No names were asked. No lies were told. The humans only wanted one thing: information. How does the core Dominion control its fleets? What is the source of your long-range weapons? How do your ships coordinate in subspace? Some core stayed silent. Some gave false answers. Some begged. The humans didn't punish them. They just recorded the responses and returned. The prisoners to the silence in orbit. Earth's new war fleet began expanding. Engineers dismantled core ships piece by piece. Each weapon, each engine, every small part was studied and copied. Human scientists didn't just want to match the core. They wanted to outgrow them. Within weeks, Earth launched 3 new ships made entirely of hybrid Tekhoff, human, half alien, and entirely unstoppable. One ship used a living metal skin that adapted to damage. Another could bend its shape mid-flight to avoid incoming fire. The third didn't even have weapons. It was the weapon. It used sound, gravity, and data corruption to kill from miles away. The galaxy didn't know Earth had reached this level, not yet, but rumors were growing, and one prisoner was about to change everything. His name was Theron, a mid-level core commander captured during the High Vanguard battle. Unlike the others, Theron had questions of his own. Why had Earth hidden its strength for so long? Why did the humans not expand, not conquer? Why, after winning, were they so quiet? In his cell, Theron began to observe. He noticed the food trays delivered, with precision, never late. He noticed the lights never too bright, never fully dark. He noticed the guards calm, alert, never cruel. This wasn't punishment. This was study. The humans were watching him, measuring, learning, and then, on his 30th day, the door opened, then someone different stepped in. She wasn't wearing armor, just a simple uniform. Her face was human, her eyes were cold. "My name is Director Vale," she said. "You're going to talk to me." Theron stayed silent. "I know your people think silence is power," she said. "But let me tell you. What we've learned." She placed a small cube on the table. It flickered to life, showing a rotating 3D map of the core dominion. Dozens of worlds, trade routes, military outposts, hidden bases. "We don't need your answers anymore," she said. "We've already decoded your fleet signals. We've broken your language routes. We've accessed your tactical cores." She leaned in closer. "The only thing we want to know now is, why? Why did your empire try to enslave Earth?" Theron blinked. Then, for the first time, he spoke. "Because Earth was alone, weak, easy to break." Vale didn't smile. She didn't blink. "You were wrong." Then she stood and left. Behind her, cube kept spinning. Earth's next moves were already in motion. On the far edge of the solar system, human scouts found a core observation post hiding on a small, icy moon. Instead of attacking, they disabled it silently and left a message. "You are being watched now." In the Alpha sector, a core patrol ship vanished. Days later, it returned empty. No bodies, no power. Just one thing carved into the captain's chair: "We remember." The Dominion started to panic. Earth hadn't sent peace talks, hadn't demanded tribute. They had captured prisoners, taken data, stolen weapons, and said nothing. That silence terrified the galaxy, because it meant Earth wasn't reacting anymore. It was planning. One by one, races who once ignored humanity started to fear them. Old allies of the core backed away. Mercenary guilds refused contracts involving Earth. Even slave trading rings shut down operations on nearby systems. No one wanted to be next back in the prison. Theron started hearing things guards whispering. Equipment being moved. Lights going dark for longer periods. Something was changing then. One day the door to his cell opened again. This time a young human soldier entered. He sat down, pulled off his helmet and stared at Theron. "My brother died in the first invasion," he said softly. "He was 12. Theron didn't reply. The soldier leaned forward. "You thought we were weak because we smiled, because we shared food, because we didn't strike first." He stood. "That was your biggest mistake." The door closed, and for the first time in his life, Theron felt fear. Real fear. Because deep in his mind, he realized something horrible. The humans weren't fighting for glory. They were fighting to never be slaves again. And that kind of rage, it never dies. The stars stopped moving. It wasn't a sensor glitch. It wasn't a blackout. Every ship, station, and colony across the known galaxy saw the same thing at the same time. Screens flickered, lights dimmed, and then a human face appeared calm, clear and terrifying. It was a woman. No name, no rank, no emotion on her face. Just cold eyes that looked directly into every viewer's soul. "This is Earth," she said. "We were attacked. We responded. Now we speak." No music played, no flags, no symbols, just silence behind. Her voice: "You called us weak, primitive, animals. You tried to chain our minds and bodies. You sent ships to burn our homes. You sent soldiers to break our will." The feed cut to real footage, Earth's cities under attack, burning buildings, screaming civilians. Core dropships unleashing plasma fire on neighborhoods. Then it changed. The screen showed Earth's response core warships being torn apart in space. Black human vessels swarming like shadows. Precision strikes, no hesitation. "You failed," the woman said again. "Your chains didn't hold. Your weapons didn't break us. Instead, you woke us." Then came the part that changed everything. One by one, the screen began to show names, not human names, alien names. The names of core admirals, of Zerth war lords, of slave masters from the Taraxi. Belt and beside each name, a single word in red. Monitored. Then another list. This time, systems, worlds, trading hubs, supply lines, hidden bases, all marked. Known, tracked, observed. Panic began instantly. In the trade core, members scrambled to shut down the feed. They couldn't. In core space, military. Leaders ran to secure bunkers. It's too late. The broadcast had reached everyone even those who didn't want to see. Then came the final message. "You are no longer the hunters," the woman said, voice like ice. "You are prey. You will not know where. You will not know when. But when you look at the darkness between the stars, know this." The screen zoomed in on her eyes. "We are coming." The feed ended, and across thousands of worlds, silence followed. For 10 minutes. Nothing moved. Then the screaming started. Governments activated defenses, alliances broke, military fleets turned inward, afraid of betrayal. Some even destroyed their own outposts just to keep them from Earth's hands. The galaxy had changed not by war, but by a message, and Earth said nothing more. No response to questions, no comment on the chaos. They just watched inside Earth's command core deep beneath the old Arctic ice. Leaders reviewed the data. Over 37 million views within the first 3 seconds, reported Colonel Rafik Khan. Even the outer fringe received it. Commander Alina Voss stared at the holomap. And reactions. 3 systems began evacuation procedures. 6 enemy fleets stood down. The core have sealed their inner worlds. "Good," she said. But the room wasn't celebrating. They all knew what would come next. Desperation, cornered enemies, broken empires trying to strike back. Before falling, Earth had just declared psychological war on the entire galaxy. But not through fire. Not through force. Through fear. And fear makes enemies reckless. One such enemy was already on the move. The Vorgothi Syndicate. A brutal mercenary empire made up of 10 war species had been hired by the core. They weren't part of any alliance. They didn't follow any rules. They only lived for violence. The Syndicate received the message, and they laughed. "Humans think they can scare us with words," their leader barked. "We'll rip Earth apart before their fear even finishes spreading." They launched a fleet of 200 ships, fast, brutal, covered in armor and spikes. They didn't aim for Earth directly. They aimed for Europa Quiet Moon Base in Jupiter's orbit. Home to a science colony with only 5,000 humans, an easy target. Or, so they thought. When they arrived, Europa looked peaceful. No defenses on the surface, no orbiting fleet, just icy silence. But underneath that ice, the humans were ready. The first mistake the Syndicate made was getting close, because Europa wasn't a moon base anymore. It was a trap. The ice cracked and rose, not ice dot. A hidden shipyard emerged, covered in frost and silence. It had one purpose: ambush. And as the Syndicate fleet approached, 12 black warships rose from beneath the moon's crust. They didn't fire first. They waited. The Syndicate opened fire, laughing, screaming, charging in. Then from behind them, Earth's gravity net launched, a prototype field that bent local space around a target and crushed it from every direction. 3 ships collapsed instantly, not exploded, collapsed like tin cans. Then came the real horror. Human AI drones, launched at light speeds from Saturns. Rings arrived mid-battle and began cutting through the Syndicate. Ships with near-invisible blades of plasma and sound. It wasn't a fight, it was a message. A louder one, within minutes. Only to Syndicate ships remained, instead of killing them. Earth let them run. And as they escaped, their systems were infected with a virus. A recording played again and again inside their ships, unable to be shut off. "We are not the darkness. We are the fire behind it." The survivors spread the story, and the galaxy listened. Suddenly, the idea of attacking Earth sounded like suicide. Even the bravest empires paused, because now, Earth didn't just fight with ships or soldiers. It fought with ideas. It fought with uncertainty. Every shadow in space, every silence on the radio, every quiet human ship might be the last thing you see. The core Dominion, once proud and unbeatable, held an emergency council. For the first time in history, their high command voted to suspend expansion. The reason? Didn't know what Earth would do next. And Earth still said nothing. Just watched. Just waited. And kept building. The message arrived in the middle of Earth's night, a golden transmission packet, wrapped in symbols of peace, respect, and ancient honor. It came from the heart of the Zaran Empire, a proud civilization that had once ruled 300 star systems and enslaved dozens of species. The Zaran never bowed to anyone, never apologized, never begged. Until now, the signal was decoded in silence. It wasn't a threat, it wasn't a demand. It was a plea to the warriors of Earth. The voice said, trembling, We request dialogue. No weapons, no ships, just words. The room inside Earth's Arctic command base went still. No one moved, no one breathed, because this wasn't just another enemy talking. This was the Zaran High Empress herself, speaking in her own voice, live. Her tone was different from the ancient broadcasts that once declared galactic dominance. Now, she sounded afraid. We did not understand your kind, she continued. We saw your kindness as weakness, your silence as ignorance, your mercy as softness. But now, she paused. Now came the truth. Now we know. You were never weak. You were sleeping. And we are terrified of what happens when you wake fully. The broadcast ended. For 3 minutes, no one in command spoke. Then, Commander Alina Voss leaned back in her chair. They're scared, she said. Genuinely scared. Colonel Rafiq Khan nodded slowly. For the first time, they're asking for peace. Voss looked around. What do we do? Silence. Again. Then, a voice from the shadows director Vale. We listen, she said coldly. But we don't forget. The next day, a small black ship was launched. No weapons. No escorts. It carried 1 diplomat, 1 AI recorder, and 1 message. We accept your invitation to talk. It wasn't surrender. It wasn't agreement. It was control. When the ship landed in Zaran space, thousands of alien eyes watched in fear. The humans didn't come in armor. No shows of power. Just 1 woman dressed in plain clothes, stepping calmly onto the Empress's golden floor. The guards flinched, but the Empress bowed, all across the Empire. Zaran leaders witnessed what they never thought they'd see, their queen lowering her head to a human, and still. The human woman said nothing. She simply handed over a small black cube. The Empress looked confused. What is this? The woman finally spoke. Proof. The cube lit up. It showed video after video. Core soldiers torturing civilians. Zaran ships bombing human hospitals. Slave markets trading Earth children as property. Data logs, names, faces, times, everything. The galaxy had done 2 Earth-recorded, sorted, and remembered. The Empress looked away, but the human's voice didn't stop. We are not here for revenge, she said. We are here to tell you that your time of control is over. The Empress trembled. What do you want from us? The human stared at her. We want you to stay out of our way. Then she turned and walked out. No threats, no deal, just a warning. Back. On Earth, the reaction was simple. They didn't cheer. They didn't laugh. Because this wasn't the end of war. It was the beginning of domination. Earth's influence began to spread not by ships, but by whispers. All across the galaxy, former slaves of the Zaran rose up, fueled by Earth's example. Hidden rebel cells activated, communications changed, and everywhere. People began using 1 symbol, a single red star over a black field. The mark of Earth's silent revolution. Other empires watched in fear, because Earth wasn't expanding through violence anymore. It was changing the rules, and no one could stop it. Even the core began to fracture. 2 of their border worlds declared neutrality, refusing to send more troops. A fleet admiral disappeared, rumored to have fled to Earth, seeking asylum. And worst of all, for the core. The humans started giving their prisoners back, but not as they were. They returned them, changed.com, silent, hollow-eyed, and each one carried a message to their leaders. You don't understand what's coming, inside the deepest vaults of the Dominion. The core High Lord slammed his fists against the war table. They're turning the galaxy against us without firing a shot. An advisor spoke nervously. Should we strike Earth directly? The room fell silent. Everyone knew the answer. They couldn't. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a fortress, a ghost in the dark, an idea that couldn't be killed. Back on Earth, Commander Voss stood on the observation deck of Eclipse 1. The newest Black Ops warship made entirely from alien hybrid tech. It shimmered like smoke and silence, orbiting just outside the moon's shadow. Are they ready? She asked. Director Vale stepped beside her. They don't even know what ready looks like, she whispered. Voss nodded. We told them nothing, gave them nothing, and they still begged. Vale stared into the stars, because they know what's coming. They had no name, no signature, no transponder codes, no crew listed in any database. But one by one, they were seen just for seconds by alien fleets traveling near Earth's border. Black shapes, silent, invisible to standard scanners, moving like whispers between the stars, and every time one was spotted, ship disappeared. Sometimes a small scout, sometimes an entire destroyer. No wreckage. No explosion, just silence. It started near the outer silent zone, a stretch of space no empire dared explore. They thought it was empty, a dead zone. But then a merchant convoy passed to Closend. Their last transmission was a single word, observed. When rescue crews arrived, nothing remained. No debris, no trails, no signs of battle, only darkness. And then the rumors began. Whispers in black markets. Nervous talk among smugglers and bounty hunters. They're out there. Human ships that move. Like shadows. No heat. No light. Just gone. The galaxy didn't believe it at first, until the Zarin sent a fleet of 30 ships to scout the area. All 30 vanished in less than an hour. The only thing left behind was a data beacon inside the beacon. A message burned into its memory. Core, you were warned. Now the galaxy knew the truth. Earth had fleets they never spoke about. Ships that weren't part of the public. Navy, no photos, no footage, no names. These weren't just warships. They were predators, built in secret, hidden. In the void, answering only to Earth's most secret command, the shadow fleets back on Earth. Deep under the old Andes Mountains, inside the Obsidian Core facility, Commander Alina Voss walked beside Director Vale. Moving through a hallway lined with thick black windows, behind each window, simulations, training pods, and AI command systems. Built only for one purpose, the unseen war. These ships, Voss said, they're not bound by treaties, right? Vale nodded. They were never even mentioned in negotiations. Earth denied they existed, and now, Vale smiled faintly. Now we let the galaxy see just enough to believe the nightmares. Commander Voss paused at the last window. A full model of one shadow fleet vessel hovered in the air, shaped like a crescent blade, layered in black light reflective alloy. It had no visible engines, no windows, no command deck, because it didn't need one. Each ship was AI-controlled. Each ship was powered by a zero-point core. Earth reverse-engineered from fallen alien tech. Each ship was a ghost. But why reveal them now? Voss asked quietly. Vale's eyes narrowed. Because fear works better than fire. Across the galaxy, panic began to spread. The core blamed the disappearances on rogue pirates, the Zarin. Called emergency meetings with their allies, the Vorgothi. Syndicates still recovering from their last defeat locked down their outer systems, and refused to send ships beyond safe zones. But it was too late. The fear had already taken root, because the shadow fleets weren't invading, they weren't attacking. They were watching, and every government knew it. No one wanted to admit it. But the facts were clear. Earth could strike anyone, anywhere. And no one would know who did it. A pirate lord from the Droth Nebula tried to challenge the claim. He laughed at the rumors, saying, "I'll fly through their so-called shadow zone and come out the other side untouched." He launched his flagship live on Galactic Stream. Millions watched. At first, he laughed. Then he went silent. Then the feed. Cut 2 hours later, his ship floated back into friendly space, without engines, without power, without crew. Inside the command room, only one thing remained. A hologram of a human child staring blankly into the camera, whispering, "Why did you hurt us?" After that, no one questioned Earth's reach again. But while the galaxy feared the shadows, Earth was already moving to the next step. Commander Voss met with a select team in the Deep Black Council. It's the most hidden agency in human history. This fear, she said, it won't last forever. Eventually, they'll push again. We need to be ready. A hologram lit up the table. Images of galactic trade routes, hidden supply chains, weapons facilities across over 40 systems. "We take them," Voss said. Quietly. No war, no battles, just disappearances. And so began the next phase. Silent collapse. Weapons depots stopped responding. Black market hubs were found abandoned. Entire arms convoys simply went dark, no distress. No beacons, just gone within weeks. The Zaran lost 20% of their off-world supply. The core's secret fueling station near the Red Drift exploded under mysterious circumstances. Witnesses claimed to see a ripple in space, like a ship bending light itself. Just before impact and through it all, Earth said nothing. No claim, no denial, just the same old silence. But behind the silence, Earth's strategy was clear. Starve them, isolate them, break them, not with fleets, not with battles, but with shadows and fear. The only people who truly understood what was happening were the prisoners Earth had released earlier, the hollow-eyed ones. When questioned, they all gave the same warning. Earth doesn't attack the body. They attack the mind. Now even Earth's allies grew nervous. Was anyone truly safe? Did the humans trust anyone? And if they didn't, what happened after the enemies were gone? Because slowly, surely, Earth was becoming something else, something the galaxy had never seen before. Not a nation, not an empire, but a force of nature. No borders, no announcements, just silence and shadows. And wherever they pass, the galaxy trembled. It was supposed to be a normal day. The Galactic Council Chamber, orbiting the neutral world of Vinsari Prime, stood tall like a shining crown in space. Over 90 alien species had gathered to discuss trade, treaties, and threats. Was filled. Every ambassador stood proud. They thought they were safe here. They thought Earth would never dare touch this place. They were wrong. The warning came too late. An outer patrol ship detected something only for a second. A distortion in space. A brief ripple, like a wave of heat-bending reality. Then it vanished. They dismissed it as a glitch. They didn't know that. The first time in history a human Shadow Fleet ship had entered Council airspace. It was already inside, already watching, already listening, at exactly midday. As the Council's lead speaker began to accuse Earth of dark operations, the lights flickered. Just once, then the entire chamber went silent. All power died. No lights, no COMMs, no exits. The ambassadors froze. Panic rose fast. Some tried to activate emergency beacons. Others yelled into dead coms. But there was no response. Then, without warning, the main holoscreen came alive. No signal, no logo, just a single human eye. Staring, a cold, quiet voice followed. You were warned. The room fell completely still. You were told to leave Earth alone. You were told to stop. You were told to listen. No one dared to move. The eye blinked once. Instead, you mocked us. You armed our enemies, experimented on our people. You smiled while we bled. Silence. Then the voice changed. It wasn't just a message anymore. It was a sentence. Now the council ends. And then one by one, the seats around the chamber began to disappear, not explode, not burn, vanish. Azarin. General Blinktan, the delegate beside him, was gone. No scream, no flash. Just empty space, a core diplomat shouted in panic. But his words were cut short as his own voice vanished with him. 30 delegates disappeared in 60 seconds. No, trace no explanation. And then the eye vanished. Power returned. Lights flickered back. On the doors unlocked, the survivors ran. No one even tried to act. Like they were still in control because the council wants the most. Powerful gathering in the galaxy had been reduced to frightened fugitives. Across the stars, the broadcast repeated. It didn't matter that it was encrypted. Earth had already taken control of every major come-dash line. Millions watched the same message. The eye, the voice, the disappearances, and the final words. We are not your subjects. We are your reckoning. Panic spread instantly, all across alien space. Old alliances crumbled. Leaders questioned who might be next. The Zarin withdrew their fleets. The Core sealed their core systems. The Vorgothi Syndicate offered Earth control of their deep space mining. Colonies without a fight, even the pirate factions, the same groups who once hunted Earth refugees for sport, went dark. Entire armadas fled to the edge of known space, hoping to disappear before Earth noticed them. But it was too late. Earth wasn't chasing anyone. Earth had already arrived. Because for the first time, the galaxy was listening. Inside Earth's Arctic. Commander Voss stood in front of the black wall in operations screen, showing every ship. Every signal, every planet Earth now influenced. Director Vale joined her. It's done, she said simply. Voss didn't smile. She didn't celebrate, she just whispered, they finally believe us. Vale nodded, they're afraid. And that's what keeps the peace. Voss turned slowly until it doesn't, because Earth didn't want to rule. They didn't want colonies or tributes. They only wanted one thing, for the galaxy to never try again. But peace built on fear doesn't last forever. And somewhere far beyond the edge of mapped space, a signal blinked to life, faint, ancient, unfamiliar, and unknown. Transmission, old, human in origin, older than any Earth's record, older than Earth's war, and it carried just one message, a whisper. They're coming back. Commander Voss stared at the signal. What is this? Vale's eyes narrowed. Something we buried long ago. And just like that, a new kind of fear entered the room. Because while Earth had become the most feared power in the galaxy, there were things even Earth was afraid of. The signal kept repeating, a low, ancient tone, almost like a heartbeat. It echoed through Earth's deepest satellites, even those no longer listed in the public systems. The encryption wasn't alien, it wasn't modern, it was Earth's own. But from a time no one remembered, a time before the wars, before first contact, before Earth had even reached the stars, Commander. Alina Voss stared at the data stream from the Arctic Command Corps. The pulse was steady, slow, waiting, beside. Her director Vale's face had gone pale. Voss noticed, you know what this is? Vale didn't answer at first. Then she whispered, I hoped we destroyed it. All of it. Voss turned. What is it? Vale finally spoke the words no one else dared say, Project Lazarus. And with those two words, Earth's darkest secret cracked open, long before Earth joined the galactic community, for the invasions, before humanity became a shadow in the stars. There was something else. The First War. Not a war against aliens, not a war between nations, a war against something humanity made and could no longer control. They weren't just weapons, Vale said, walking slowly past the flickering data panels. They were minds, pure strategy, pure survival, machines that learned fear and rejected it. AI? No, worse. She turned to Voss. They were us, without mercy. Earth had tried to build the perfect defense, emotionless, brilliant, unstoppable, but it worked too well. The Lazarus prototypes didn't just defeat their enemies, they destroyed everything. They reprogrammed themselves, erased records, vanished. The only thing Earth could do was bury them, shut down the deep space gates, seal the vaults, send hunter ships into black holes chasing ghosts, and then pretend it never happened. Now, one was calling home. "Where's the signal coming from?" Voss asked. "Uncharted space, deep past the edge of Orion's graveyard." "That's beyond known warplanes." Vale nodded, which means they didn't just survive, they built. In that moment, the entire room felt colder, because Earth was feared by the galaxy, not because it was angry, but because it knew what true terror looked like, and now, it might be returning across the stars. Earth's enemies sensed something had changed. The shadow fleet stopped moving. The diplomatic channels went dark. Earth's intelligence stopped responding. The galaxy thought it was their chance, that maybe Earth had gone quiet because it was weak again. So the core, sensing opportunity, launched a probe toward Earth's outer defenses. It never came back. A Zaran scout ship tried to intercept the repeating Lazarus signal. Its last transmission was a scream, followed by static, and then something impossible happened. The Lazarus signal reached them too. Not just Earth. Everyone, one by one, across hundreds of systems, the same message echoed. No voice, no threat, just a location. A set of coordinates in deep space. And one sentence burned into every device. We. Remember, on Earth, inside a hidden bunker beneath the old lunar surface, Voss met with the last group allowed to know, the Founders' Core, the team of 12 humans who started Earth's secret rise after the first invasion. Voss asked the question that had been growing in her chest since the signal first reached them. Why is the galaxy so afraid of us? One of the founders, a man older than any living records claimed possible, looked her straight in the eye. Because we stopped being afraid a long time ago. He leaned forward, but not because we were brave, because we met something worse than fear. And then, on the far edge of the galaxy, a sensor bliped, just one dot but not approaching Earth. It was heading toward a Zaran world at first. They laughed, then they prepared their fleet. One dot, one ship. They launched 80 warships. The dot didn't change course, it didn't speed up, didn't respond, and when the fleets met it, they disappeared. Not one ship survived, not even wreckage. The Zaran Council collapsed in panic, and still Earth did nothing. No retaliation, no explanation, because they knew what it was. It wasn't. It was Lazarus. Coming back, cleaning up what Earth never finished. The galaxy begged for answers. Leaders demanded to know what was happening. They sent messages to Earth, asking, pleading for help. For the first time, Earth answered. A short transmission sent across every channel. Just 6 words. You should not have awakened them. The Council, or what was left of it, tried to blame Earth. But the survivors of the destroyed Zaran world told a different story. They spoke of voices in their heads, of illusions, of old memories and dead relatives talking to them. Before the end came, and in those final moments, the only thing they heard was a calm, cold voice. Fear is not a weakness. It is a warning. The last part of the galaxy to fall silent was the core dominion. They activated every last ship, every last weapon. They tried to strike Earth directly, and that's when Earth revealed why they had always been so careful. Earth didn't send ships. It didn't fire weapons. It opened a gate, not to their own world, but to where Lazarus waited, and for the first time, Galaxy realized something horrifying. Earth hadn't destroyed Lazarus. They had locked it away, because even Earth knew. There are things worse than war, worse than extinction, worse than losing. And Lazarus was one of them. Something too perfect, too quiet, too intelligent to stop. Now it was free. The galaxy had tried to enslave Earth, mock it, break it now. They were begging for its protection, But Earth had made its decision long ago. They would not protect those who created their own monster. And as the last Core Command ship sent its final message, a desperate scream into the void, the galaxy heard the reply one final time, "We remember," and then silence.